So, very, very, very unhooper related. But I have to talk my shit for a second. I'm not even going to talk shit. I'm just going to say shout out to LSU. Joe Burrow just won the Heisman. We undefeated. We going to the playoffs. We destroyed Alabama. We destroyed Auburn. We destroyed Georgia. We're going to destroy whoever's next, and we're going to win the national championship. Shout out to LSU. Yeah. That's all I want to say.
On that note, Jon Dubya.
It's Fresh X.
We are the Hoopers.
What's going on? It's the Hoopers. It's been a minute since we did one. A couple weeks. Been upgrading some things.
Did you? I want to start with
shout out to
something.
that.
Yeah, shout out to this. Shout out to the process, the progress. Is it the Sacramento Kings and the Milwaukee Bucks? They're gonna play and facilitate a game in prison. I think I was reading something about that.
I did not hear this story.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
I've seen it like twice on Instagram. I don't know how. Don't quote me on that if that's a real thing. Excuse me, but I've been seeing it a lot lately, and I was just wondering, like, if that's a real thing, that's kind of cool, right?
I mean, I guess it would depend on what's the idea behind it. What are they going to do from in prison that you think you heard on Instagram?
I know it was, I don't remember exactly what it's for, but I know they're gonna play a game, and then they're gonna let them play a game. I guess it was basically like to change the perception of what prison life is somewhat. Like, it's not all bad like you see in TV shows and movies. Because what else would it be for, I guess? But I think the thought of it and the idea of it is cool. It depends on the execution is what the big part of it is gonna be.
Yeah, I guess I don't even really know what that angle would be for that. So I guess I just gotta read some more and find out about it. We'll get back to that later.
I just saw it and I thought it was interesting. Speaking of Milwaukee, 17-game win streak, number one in the East right now. Giannis destroying the league. How you feel about Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, they've been pretty hot so far. But I expected them to be good. They won 60 games last year, so it's not really surprising that they're good to me again this year. I know they beat Cleveland, or they're beating Cleveland tonight. But Giannis is, of course, on the MVP level once again, which, you expect them to be there every year. But they did lose Brogdon, so it's cool that they were able to stay in rhythm even without Brogdon. But I'll judge Milwaukee more so in the playoffs, I think.
In the playoffs. That's what's up. But shout out to Milwaukee. 17-game win streak. Just wanted to throw them out there real quick. Hello, sons. We got Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah, true.
G League coming to Mexico real soon, 2021.
Yeah, I figured Silver, because he's been saying for a while that he wanted an international team. In Mexico City, another international team, the Toronto Raptors. But it just makes sense with Mexico City. The travel won't be as harsh.
Everybody was thinking London.
Yeah, London has been a place that's been thrown out there, but logistically, that just doesn't make sense, honestly. It's cool to play games in London, but I don't think we need a full team in London. So starting with the G League in New Mexico, it's a good trial run. It's kind of like how they did with the Las Vegas Aces to put a team in Las Vegas to kind of see if they can handle a WNBA team. Maybe they could handle an NBA team. So Adam Silver is all about making the money and expanding the league, growing the game. So shout out to him for working out in Mexico. Maybe. That should be a good look, though. And I'm always for more. Another G League team means another 12, 13 jobs for players.
Another opportunity to get to the NBA.
So 13 more people going to get paid. So shout out to that, too.
Right.
Creating more jobs it's always a good look for the league, and it's a good look for players and their aspirations to make it to the NBA.
Or even just to keep playing basketball at a professional level in general, just out of love for it and being able to, get paid to play.
Right, yeah, exactly. But on another note, I've been watching Devontae Graham recently, and the numbers he's putting up is really pretty amazing. He's one of 6 players in the NBA 6 or 7. Either way, he's in that top range. That's averaging 20 points and 7.5 assists. It's him, LeBron, Luka. I don't remember the other players, but it's him, LeBron, Luka, and but he's in there with
James
them.
Harden?
Yeah, James Harden. And I believe Trae Young. They're all averaging 20 and 7.5 assists. So it's been talking about him being an all-star. He's putting up all-star numbers. And in the East, I'm for him being an all-star. But is he really an all-star? Charlotte isn't really that good. And, I know you're going to say Kemba was an all-star. But Kemba averaged 25.
That's true. But I think even though they have been bad, I don't think they've been, uncompetitively bad. And, you win some games.
Yeah, they haven't been terrible.
You win some games, and then you lose a couple tough games, but you're still playing good regardless. I think the All-Star voters look differently at that. And I think it's spots in the East. I think it's spots on the All-Star team in the East this year.
Yeah, it's spots in the East, but I get more serious about All-Star. I get more serious about everything in January. So that's when I really kind of get. I mean, Charlotte they're in ninth, but that's when I really start thinking about my All-Stars in January. So I'm going to let them get through this month, get through a little bit of January. The All-Star game was a little bit earlier this year, I believe. But he definitely got a chance. And like I say, Charlotte is very competitive, 9th place. But they are under 500. So,
right.
So it's not like they're really good or they're good. They're not that good, but I think he deserves to be in the discussion. He's really been playing well. And I think really people thought, going to Charlotte, they signed Terry Rozier and they've been playing them together. But people thought Terry Rozier, for one, everybody said that they paid him too much money. Right. So that was definitely a thing. Right. But people thought, okay, we're going to at least see what he's going to do. And Graham kind of and this is Graham, he's not a rookie, this is second year.
Right.
He's kind of just taking over the spotlight. So it's pretty cool to see. And he's doing what he's doing is pretty great.
And not to take anything away from what he's doing, because he is playing. He's been our Hooper of the Week before. He's been Hooper of the Week. We always try to get him Hooper of the Week, but it is other people we gotta, had good nights. Is he balling because of circumstances, or is he really out there hooping and getting his numbers?
And see, that's always a question when a team is not that good. Right. But since I would say that he really has game because Charlotte isn't terrible. If he was just hooping and they were like 3 and whatever it is, like, all right, somebody got to score.
Right.
But when you competitive and in the playoff race and winning games, I think it's some stock into that. So he's having a great year though, 19 and a half and 7.6.
Shoot 42% from 3.
And that's the key. That's the key. But it's weird nowadays. There's a lot of players that he falls into this category. They shoot better from 3 than they do from the field. It's kind of weird. He's shooting 41% from the field, but 42% from 3. But he's playing solid. 7 assists a game to 3 turnovers a game. It's not bad. And he's definitely been a real bright spot for Charlotte. But to a team that's been a really, really bright spot, I want to talk about the Lakers for a second. I know that's the cliche team to talk about. That's ESPN choice, but I want to we haven't talked about the Lakers on the Hoopers for real. Well, we have talked about them because but we haven't talked about them for real since the season started. The Lakers have been looking good, and they're really in the tough stretch of their schedule. Well, one of the tough stretches of their schedule right now. They're kind of playing the better teams because earlier in the season they've been clicking, but they haven't really played until recently teams with winning records. So when I last checked about a week ago, they beat only like 3 teams with winning records when they were like 17-3 in their first 20 games or whatever. But they played Miami recently.
They got one a tough game, and that's a good win.
Right, they beat Denver recently.
Another good win.
So those are good wins. So I think the key to the Lakers is how well LeBron and Anthony Davis is clicked. But it sounds like but it could be easy for them to like clash. They could have not worked. But I think
excuse me,
Anthony Davis compliments LeBron so well because
he's the ultimate. No disrespect to either one of these players, but he is the ultimate Chris Bosh without another wing player affecting his numbers.
Right. If it was no Wade,
and he's already there and set to, he's already ready to shoot off pick and pops. Like, he doesn't have to develop that. He's ready to, if you kick it to him on the wing, make a move off the dribble. Like, Chris Bosh had to learn how to do that. He had a little bit of it from the post to maybe the elbow and in between, and that kind of the middle wing where you don't really want to play it anymore.
Right.
But Anthony Davis stretches it out to the 3-point line, whether it's the corner, the top of the key, or the wing. And he's still, the one thing, my one knock that has always been on Anthony Davis, I didn't think his post game was that strong.
Yeah,
like
he definitely displayed a better post game this year, especially when he has his opportunities. I think the difference with Bosh was Wade was there, so that was crowding some of his space. So without that other player, like Anthony Davis, LeBron wants to handle the ball, and I'm glad that he's playing point guard this year because he get to handle the ball.
Point guard,
but
Brian.
then
Point
it's gonna
guard.
be times where he can't just give to Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis can't get a bucket for himself. But Anthony Davis don't really necessarily need the ball. He can throw some lobs to him. He can run pick and rolls with him. But he not necessarily like a Shaq.
Right.
We need to dump it to him every time.
No.
So they really complement each other. He can shoot. But and there's at times where LeBron can throw it to Anthony Davis. Like I saw with Miami. It was a couple sessions like Derrick Jones Jr. was on Anthony Davis.
Right.
He just gave it the ball and like they didn't double or nothing. I was like,
right.
what the hell are y'all doing? Derrick Jones Jr. on Anthony Davis. So I think honestly, LeBron has played with some great players, and this isn't a hot take. I think he really compliments LeBron
the
well.
best. Right.
Anthony Davis is not that he's the best player LeBron's played with. That's Dwayne Wade. But he's the best complementary player that LeBron has played with. LeBron don't have to sacrifice nothing in his game. He could be the exact player he wants to be with Anthony Davis. While with Kyrie, he gotta let him have the ball. Be quiet. With Kyrie, he had to let him handle the ball, and he had to play with him that way. With Wade, they had to figure out the spacing and all that. But with Anthony Davis, he could be 100% the player that he want to be.
And LeBron's really, we were speaking on this a while ago off the record, but I think LeBron is playing really good defense here because he's really giving. I think he's taking the regular
play defense.
I think he's really taking the regular season serious this year.
Right.
Like he's giving good effort on both sides of the court every game. Like he hasn't given. I'm not saying that he gives effort every night, but I don't think he's given this much effort on both sides in the last maybe 3 or 4 years since maybe that championship in Cleveland in 2016.
Right. But I will say this: my problem with the Lakers is my weirdly exact same problem with the Clippers. I don't trust nobody on their team after LeBron and Anthony Davis. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I wouldn't even play him. Avery Bradley, he's hurt like he's been the last 3 years. Danny Green, he shoots a high 3-point percentage, but somehow he never seems to make threes. I don't know how he's shooting 43% from three. He just has those games where he's super hot, and then he go games where he doesn't score at all. I don't understand it. I like Dwight Howard and I like JaVale McGee. I think they do their roles perfectly.
Right.
I like Rondo, and I know he's getting back into it. Kuz, he's
been
inconsistent. Came back from injury. We understand it. So he came back from
But
injury.
he's had some good nights, but
Right.
he's also had some bad nights.
So he's getting used to playing with them. And after that, who else is on the team? Like,
I think Rondo substitute that next instead of how with the Clippers is Lou Williams is your next scorer.
Right.
So that's what they're gonna run with. I think Rondo substitute a scorer for more of a playmaker. But you can still play him and LeBron together with Anthony Davis, and not even necessarily have to play them at the 5 and the 4, but you can.
yeah, Rondo is gonna be key. So yeah,
Rondo's knocking down the 3 this year as well.
Yeah, and LeBron, he likes Rondo. He trusts Rondo. You could tell that him and Rondo, they click because Rondo is a smart player, and Rondo a champion. So, and he earned his championship. He got his playoff stripes. We've seen Rondo score 40 in the playoffs. We saw what he did for that Pelicans team, and he do got an NBA championship. So I do like Rondo out there with them, but I have to see. I'm just nervous for them in the playoffs when they do need the shooting. But because it can get to a point, because we saw how the Pistons played. People, I mean, this is way before a lot of people time, but the people think the Pistons just like dominated Shaq and Kobe because they won 4-1. They dominated the Lakers, but Shaq and Kobe both averaged 30. Remember, nobody else could score over 10 points. Devin George would have 9. Derek Fisher would have 7.
Gary Payton.
Like Carmelo and Gary Payton, they were on that team. I forgot about them. They really weren't good for Shaq and Kobe that year. So, and that was like, I looked at the game last night with the Clippers. Paul George and Kawhi both had 40, but remember at halftime, like Paul George had 25, I think at halftime, 20 or 30, something like that. Him and Kawhi both
like 31.
Him
30.
and Kawhi both were in the 20s at halftime, but nobody else in the starter had scored a point. Now, certain people were out. Patrick Beverly didn't play. I don't really care about Patrick Beverly. He's not having an amazing season. He's not an offensive player anyway. I think Mo Harkless, did he play? Mo Harkless did play. But Lou Williams didn't play.
Lou was out.
But Lou also comes off the bench also, and Lou is key too. So that's like, all right, you got LeBron, AD, and Rondo. All right, you got Kawhi, you got PG, and you got Lou.
Because Lou also makes the game easier for Montrezl Harrell.
Right.
Like Montrezl can't get his own shot in the post or in the elbow, but you don't want Montrezl consistently create for himself.
Right.
You want him to play off that pick and roll with Lou, where Lou can be either a scorer or facilitator to him.
Right. So I'm really interested to see kind of what they do, how they mesh. Now, obviously, when they get down to it in the playoffs, your best players definitely for surely carry you. So you definitely want your best players playing their best. But it helps. Whoever role players play the best usually win also. That is key, unless you Michael Jordan and you just average 40. So, but I don't expect that to happen. But, I mean, especially if you run up against a team, you know what I mean? So, but this year, I will say this though, what also I think works in both their favors. Even though it's not quote unquote super teams, it's more duos. Whose team? I mean, I don't feel like it's just teams that are just super deep either. Like, who has super depth that has a star power to match with the depth, at least a little bit of star. Because at the end of the day, the Pistons had all stars, so it's like we got all stars and we got depth.
Say Miami
not winning the championship this year.
Probably. I'm not saying that, but I think they are a team with good depth.
Yeah.
Everybody has a backup that's contributed. I think they have 6 players averaging at least 12 points.
Yeah, Miami, they have a team.
Like Bam and Jimmy Butler both had triple doubles the other night.
All right.
With Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero, I think both dropped 30 or 25 plus. So they're playing really good. Jimmy Butler and Kendrick Nunn has been
7 players averaging double figures.
7 players. Duncan Robinson been a good pickup. It's been great for him.
Duncan Robinson, he look like Uber.
He actually is Uber. Tyler Hero.
He's solid.
Let me do this first, real quick. Shout out to Tyler Hero, he's been a lot better than I thought he would be. I thought he was the typical player you draft him high because he has this potential. The Joe Alexanders.
Typical white player that get drafted high.
Yeah.
Joe Alexander, Chase Bunniger,
Chandler Parsons. It's always one. But
Tyler Hero has been hooping, and I think he could, if it wasn't for Ja, he would get some Rookie of the Year considerations.
All right. But isn't this also a typical Miami team? You get players that just play basketball, they skilled, tough. It's always been Miami culture. Tim Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn.
Right, yeah. They didn't win championships either. But no, I like Miami. They third in the East, which is like 18-7.
They're still undefeated at home, I think, or did they lose at home to the Lakers the other night?
They lost to the Lakers. That was their first loss. I think
Philly's undefeated because they just beat Boston.
Speaking of Philly, it was Philly started off the season hot, 5-0, and then you had the Embiid suspension, and Ben got hurt, and stuff was just weird. They got meshed, and they started losing a little bit. And now they seem like they've gotten hot again, 20-7, second in the East.
Embiid just had a big night the other night.
Right.
He was out hoop the other night. Dropped 38 and 13 on Boston.
Right, and then he bounced back with 24 and 11. And Ben Simmons also had 24 and 11. Philly's been getting hot, and I hope they keep going.
This is the time, and this is the time to get hot.
Right.
Late December, late January, All-Star break. You want to build some kind of momentum,
right? But I think what's going to happen now, like you say, you're going to build momentum. Ben usually starts. He always starts. When I've looked at his stats recently, he always starts the season kind of slow and then picks up in the middle to end of December into January. That's kind of how he made his All-Star stride last year. The difference this year has been Embiid didn't start off the year as hot this year as he did last year, and one thing I want to give Embiid his credit for, it's easy. You heard the criticism that Shaq and Charles Barkley gave him, and it's easy for players to just say that they don't know what they're talking about and they hating, or they just getting on them because people sticking my day. And sometimes they are like that. But one thing I've always gave Embiid credit for is he know he's good, and he know he talks a lot of trash. So I feel like he does really well of holding himself accountable. I've seen him after a game say, I played like trash. I could be better. So I thought it was cool that, they told him, you could be the best player. You could be better. He was like, I hear you, and y'all are right. I should be better. Because Embiid's averaging 22 and 11. This man averaged 27 and 12 last year. 22 points is... Like 25, I get it. 22, not good enough. 25, he can't average less than 25 points per game because I know Tobias got to eat. Josh Richardson need to get more. He needs to be better on the court, and Ben Simmons needs his possessions too. And Al Horford, he also is gonna get up some points too. So I get 25, but 22 points per game. Philly went chose a championship contender for 22 points from Embiid.
I feel like a lot of that is on Brett Brown as well, not putting in an offensive system that fits everybody, where everybody can be involved equally.
I don't think Brett Brown should be their coach, so I agree. But yeah,
I want to switch gears real quick. We really don't do this much because we always try to shout out the people that's playing really well. But Darius Garland, who we both thought was going to be pretty good in the NBA. And Colin Sexton, who we still both had questions about, have been terrible together for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just not clicking. Darius Garland is leading them in assists with 2.8.
2.8 assists.
Like, he had Dame Lillard comparisons coming out of college. He didn't play much last year because of the ACL injury, but he's just not – just whatever it is just isn't working. Like a lot of the nights, Jordan Clarkson closes out the game with Colin Sexton. I've seen a report that, they looking to shop Colin Sexton. I don't know how that's probably not true, but
they not keeping both of them, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It's just not meshing well at all.
I don't know what they were even thinking with that anyway. Why did they think he was gonna mesh? They're both undersized guards. They're both real isolation heavy. So I don't know what they thought the idea would be with that. Maybe they thought Garland was going to be such a good shooter. But I knew this wasn't going to work from the start of the year when they said that, Garland was a better passer, so he was going to play point guard. And the year started with Colin Sexton said, I'm not playing shooting guard. That's how the year started. He said he the point guard. He not playing
Monte and Steph Curry again.
And Monte Ellis got shipped out. And Colin Sexton, I believe, is going to be on his way out. He hasn't done anything, honestly, to be like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, y'all not winning. You didn't win Rookie of the Year. They had talks last year. Some of the veterans said that he doesn't know what it is to be a point guard yet, and that's because he's really kind of just a ball-heavy athlete. He's an NBA talent, but I think Colin, he's solid, but I don't think he's really as good as he may think he is, and I don't know. I don't even know who they would trade. What would they trade him for? But he's a young point guard, second year in the league, so they can get something out of him.
Probably include him in some kind of Kevin Love deal or Tristan Thompson.
More than likely. But if it was me, I would build around Garland, because if you're gonna keep, at some point, Cleveland, even if you're trying to lose, you gotta lose with some sense of direction. So either, and that's
always the key.
It always get lost in the process because of how bad it was. That was the point. And they weren't willing to accept mediocre young players who, like, all right, y'all going to average this and we going to do this every year. No. Like, 17 and 2 assists from my point guard. It's like, if he was averaging 20 and 2 assists, it's like, all right, well, at least he giving me 20. But you ain't even averaging 20 points. and you averaging 2 assists a game. And maybe some of Garland, he could be better if he didn't have Sexton, because Sexton got to get his touches.
All right.
So
I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, we usually don't. We usually just highlight the players that we consider who was, the ones that are balling, but that just wasn't. I just had to throw that out there real quick.
Right.
James Harden is hooping though.
He's definitely been on the tail recently. Back-to-back 50 point 50 and 10 threes.
First player since Steph in the 2015-16 season.
I think
you saying you really say that he's arguably the best offensive player ever?
Nah, I don't even think I'll ever consider him, put him into consideration for it. Well, I'm giving this. It depends. If he keep winning scoring titles, because if he wins scoring title, when he wins the scoring title this year, because it's safe to say he's probably gonna hold his average. We'll see. It's still very early. What
number would this be as far as scoring titles go? 3, 4?
This would be 3 for him. So if he win 3,
is he in your conversation?
He could be in the arguably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, arguably.
But yeah, he could be in the arguably.
Everybody's arguably except Jordan.
But Jordan won 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody, you can argue everybody except Jordan.
He won more scoring titles than Wilt, but Wilt is kind of by default because Wilt purposely started scoring less. So Wilt couldn't master scoring and winning. Scoring was the key for Jordan to win. That's how you know he was the best player, when you could score, and that's the key.
Right, at the end of the day, you gotta outscore the opponent.
Right, but I still don't think. Like I say, you can make an argument once his average gets there, and once you got 3 scoring titles, because really I gotta say 4, because only so many people got. Once you get 4, you elite. It's KD, that's Iverson, that's George Gervin. Once
Jordan,
you get 4, Jordan, Wilt. That's
right.
it. That's it.
I can respect
That's
it.
it.
I can respect it.
But even to get 3, it's rare to get 3 also. So
that's what I'm saying. So like right now, especially with how he's doing it, it's not like he's doing it. He's doing it at damn near 40 points.
Yeah, 39 points per game.
That's what I'm saying. Can't you just, you can say arguably he's in that conversation right now.
Yeah, you gotta say arguably he is one of the best scorers of all time. You're right, so I take it back. Even he's gonna win the scoring title this year. It's just a matter of what's his. I just wonder what his final average gonna be, because when I see the number, I'm like, dang, is he gonna average 39? I mean, he averaged 37 last year. Is he gonna average 39 points per game all year?
He's not gonna take no days off. If he out there, he gonna get it. If he out there, he gonna get the shots up.
And the key, I was just saying, that's the key, is he gonna get the shots up, and that's their offense. They play a real. They play a real. I don't even know how to describe it, but they play an offense where your best player takes the most shots, and it just makes sense. If you're not wide open, why are you shooting the ball? Only James Harden or Russell Westbrook shoot the ball, and I'm not totally mad at that. It's just how they do it, as far as it just being isolation and not no movement and him dribbling 80 times a game. Because, at the end of the day, Jordan took the most shots. And how the Lakers look right now, the Clippers, with this current team, if it ain't Kawhi, Paul George, is why you shooting the ball.
Right.
So I get it. They just haven't won with it.
Right.
So, but I'm just like, man, is his final average gonna be 39 points per game?
But then, of course, you want him to win one. You think, you're gonna do it in the regular season, do it in the playoffs, figure out a way. But doesn't that sometimes that's what happens? You run into a team that you just can't get past, and that's what happened with them in Golden State. Yeah, you have a fluke year like when San Antonio put them out, where you just lose to a random team. But sometimes a team just they've beaten them 5 of the last 6 years in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. It
happens like everybody ran into Jordan. That was the team that you couldn't get past. No matter who else you beat, if you don't beat Jordan, then it doesn't matter. If you didn't beat the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, it didn't matter.
Right. I get it. I just think it'd be you're not telling yourself the truth if you're not just honestly saying James Harden isn't exactly the same player in the playoffs too, though. Because it's like, I get it. Jordan will average. And yeah, people get mad when you bring Jordan. People like, he's not Jordan. But when we had these conversations, if you're saying that somebody better than Jordan, I'm going to start telling you why he's not. And your comparison is officially there, because Daryl Morey said that he's a better scorer ever than Jordan. And when people bring you into Jordan conversation, you got to take the heat of why you're not better than Jordan.
Right. So
I'm not going to take away from him as a player, but this is why he's not better than Jordan. So James Harden, when Jordan averaged 30 during the season, when Iverson averaged 30 during the season, they didn't go in the playoffs and average 25, 28. They averaged 30. KD averaged 28 during the season. He averaged 30 during the playoffs.
Remember, like, the Thunder year?
Right.
And he averaged, 30 in the conference finals, then, like, 35 and 33,
right.
35 in the finals?
Right. Like, Kawhi averaged 28 for the season last year. He averaged 32 in the playoffs. James Harden averaged 37 last year. And my number is not off. It's off, but I believe he averaged about 29 points in the playoffs because KD led the playoffs in scoring with 33 points. Then Kawhi was second at 32, which means James Harden is already 7 points below his average. You can't average 37, and that's what leads you to 60 wins, and then think we're going to get in the playoffs, and now I'm going to average 29, and we're going to win. We used to playing with you averaging 37. So if you're going to average 39 during the season, are you going to do that in the playoffs? Is he going to average 40 points in the playoffs? Because that's how y'all winning. You can't be like, all right, I'm averaging 39, then we get to the playoffs. All right, Clinton Capella, you get 20 shots now. I need you to average 20.
Right.
Like, no, we've been winning like this. I do think his average is going to take a dip because there's one key thing in that average, too. Eric Gordon isn't out there, and Eric Gordon averages 20 points per game. So that definitely, I will put that in there. So once Eric Gordon comes back, but he's hurt.
Right.
So, but I do expect him to take a dip because of that. But he averaged 37 with Eric Gordon on the team last year. But it was no Westbrook. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
But speaking of hurt players real quick, Zion Williamson, I've been seeing it multiple times. Jalen Rose spoke on it.
Dang, Kobe only got 2 scoring titles. My bad.
Yeah, good. Probably not coming back this year. I see Jalen.
It's crazy.
Jalen said that, I don't want to misquote him, but he said that they might take the Joel Embiid route with him. I think that was Jalen Rose that said that. Have him just sit out until they, think he's ready.
Until he's ready.
Yeah. I think it's still.
So does this mean that his injury was? Because remember, Joel Embiid had legitimately he had a bad foot, and they knew that coming in.
But
so does this mean his injury was worse than what we thought?
I think maybe probably so, but I think it's still I think with a lot of people. Now I know you always bring this up about him because of how he eats. How he would eat in the past. When he broke his foot, he got up to like 320, 340. Like he was like a big Joel Embiid got bigger. So I think him putting on all that weight also prolonged that injury. But because he was still athletic on that weight though, like he was still able to jump and stuff. And I think he's still been working that weight off, which is why he still get hurt a lot, or why it seems like he's not in the best of shape.
He was eating 20 Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Right. And I think that's what happened with Zion because we've both been on the side of, they're going to have to watch his weight. Like, regardless of how you feel about it, he is a heavier dude, so you do have...
He's 6'5" and 280.
You do have to watch it. You do have to watch his weight. And I think it was a knee injury, so he can't move like how you want to move. He can't just walk how you want to walk. He can't run or anything, so you get not lazy, but you have to sit around a lot.
All right.
So you sit around not thinking about it. You eating, and then take whatever they prescribe you. Eat, you drink. You just sit and chill because you can't get on the treadmill yet, can't walk around yet. You limited. So I think that plays a part into it. And yes, the injury probably was worse than what they said it was. Because remember, he also got injured in summer league and preseason.
Right. I just think if he's not gonna play this year. Excuse me. If he's not going to play this year, that just means to me, that the injury was definitely worse than they thought it was. Or maybe it is. Maybe they kind of going to go like remember Ben Simmons when he broke his foot, but Ben Simmons didn't really have an injury history.
Right.
So he broke his foot.
Right, he hasn't been hurt since that.
Right. Yeah. This year was the first injury he's had since that for real, and he was out like 2 games or whatever. But I just think it has to be worse, or maybe they want to rack up the losses. I don't know. But we'll see, man. Zion signed the biggest shoe contract in for Ricky, money-wise. So
Jared Jackson.
Hopefully we get to see the shoes on court one day.
Jared Jackson dropped 43 on Giannis' head the other night after Kyle Anderson dunked on his head. How you get dunked on by slow-mo?
Hey, man, slow. He's 6'8".
He's 6'8", dunked on Giannis' head. But Jaren Jackson had 43. Jaren Jackson is a weird player to me. I know you always bring up how he have a good night. He's probably gonna come back and have a bad night.
Yeah, he's really inconsistent.
His shooting form throws me off. This is a terrible shooting form. I see somebody say like a chip pass towards the basket.
Right, yeah. He definitely not that far from the Joakim Noah shooting form.
But it was dropping. It just happened to drop last night. Like, say, he put 43 on Milwaukee. Dropped 43 off Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, Jaren a player that got some pretty good potential, and especially with having Ja as a point guard, they probably just need a good wing. They're Anthony Edwards away. Anthony Edwards would be a good pickup for them. So I think that's what because they need a scoring wing, somebody to go with Ja, somebody that could shoot the ball. A big wing would be nice also, but a scoring wing, and then you still got Slow-Mo who can handle the ball, play good defense, good size. Jaren Jackson, yeah, it's a good future down there in Memphis.
I see a lot of, it's just a shift real quick, but shout out to Memphis one more time. Ja Morant, Rookie of the Year over here from us. The Atlanta Hawks future seem to be thrown off just a tad bit with all the injuries and whatnot over there. Trae Young came out recently and said, it was rumors he came out and said feel like he been letting them down.
Trae Young's been letting them down?
Yeah. I don't know how he's playing great. The rest of the team's playing terrible.
Right, yeah. He's at about 25 and 9, multiple. It seems like he's getting 30 every other night.
Right.
Honestly, Trae Young, if it wasn't for Luka, we probably would be talking about Trae Young a little more. But Trae Young has let the team down. Cam Reddish shooting 28% has let the team down. DeAndre Hunter, forgetting that he's a top 5 pick, letting the team down. John Collins getting suspended for drugs lets the team down.
Kevin Hoyer's hurt.
Trae Young and Jabari Parker have just been hooping. So,
Alex Len's been playing nice for them.
Alex Len has been great his whole Atlanta career. It was such a great move for him to go to the Hawks. I hope he stays there long term because he gets to just play his role there. He gets to be big. He gets to rebound. He dunks the ball a lot. I like Alex Len with the Hawks. But, the Hawks are pretty terrible. Some people thought that they could make some playoff noise. I never thought that they were going to make a playoff run. I thought they was going to be one of those teams that wasn't good, but on certain nights because they have a player so good as Trae Young, they like, I said this on the previous Hoopers episode about the Miami Heat. Miami Heat have nights where you think, dang, they can win the East. But really, they really like a 6 seed. But they're going to probably finish in the top 4. Right. But they're really like a 6. Atlanta going to have nights where you like, man, they can make the playoffs. When they really a bottom 5 team in the NBA.
Right.
It's Trae Young, Jabari Parker, John Collins when he come back, and then a bunch of young dudes. I like Kevin Huerter, but Cam Reddish, he looks like a bust. Like, and it's way too early to say. Obviously, he's going to develop. I'm high on Cam. Excuse me, I was, but I thought he was going to develop into a player, but he struggled in college. Now he's struggling in the NBA. So we'll see how he reacts to it, but everybody else got to step up. Trae's averaging 27 and 8.6 assists.
What else can you ask from Trae?
Right. And DeAndre Hunter, he's gotten better over the last few games. He's coming along. He had a big night a few games ago. I think he had 25, 28 points, something like that. He had a big night. But they got to just continue to get better. And then just draft better players. Right. They still young. They're a young team.
Right, of course. This is how.
And don't get suspended for drugs because John Collins, that's 19-10 out the lineup.
Right. And that's a body out the lineup. Like a trade. And the one thing when I think they're really ready to compete, they're gonna have to get Trae Young a good backup. Somebody who you can play with Trae Young. You can take him out in the offense, still run smoothly. Now you can get John Collins more involved in offense without Trae, so he can still get his numbers. Because once Trae Young go out of the game, nobody can run the offense. Like Cam Reddish was supposed to be the backup point guard, but that didn't work out. Evan Turner, you know how I feel about him, never works out.
Right.
Nobody's providing him good minutes. So with John Collins out, that's the score. That's like 19-10.
Right.
Whereas you compare it to Luka. who's just looks on a whole nother level, getting 40, dropping 40 every other night. He got them in third place.
And I was gonna bring it to Luka too, but the difference you can see with Mark Cuban being and this is why he's such a great owner, how he built this team around Luka, where they have good. Luka already has good role players, and we already know how good. Like Trey's already 27 a game, Luka's 30 a game, but Luka's second best player is Kristaps. Kristaps is averaging 16, just like Jabari is. John Collins is averaging 17, but Kristaps is also a level player. But the role players, Finley Smith, Dwight Powell, Tim Hardaway, Steph Curry had 30 the other day. Steph Curry, yeah. Keebler he's a good role player. I'm super high on DeLon Wright. I think
Shout out to DeLon Wright.
Excuse me. I think he just plays his role. He has big nights. He knows who he is as a player. I think he could be better.
Jalen Brunson's been good in his role. Justin Jackson's been consistent behind the 3-point line.
Those are really good role players. And then when your best player is Trey's averaging 27 and 8, and people talk about he was a bad trade for Luka. This is his second year in the league, and he averaging 27 and 8. And they saying, dang, the Hawks should have kept Luka? Honestly, I think if Luka played for the Hawks, they'd probably be in the playoffs.
Maybe in the playoffs.
Nah, but seriously, if Luka played for the Hawks, though, he would still be putting up 30, but he'd be doing it on a bad team also.
But you want to know...
Because Luka's role players are 1,000 times better.
Because you still have to put Luka in the same situations, right? John Collins being out for being suspended for drugs. Kevin Huerter being hurt. Cam Reddish shooting 28%. DeAndre Hunter being up and down. So you still have to do all the substitutions.
Like Luka has young vets on his team.
Right.
While Trey just got young people.
Right.
I mean, I still think Luka's a better player, obviously. Sure.
But I think
Trey averaging 27 and 8 in his second year. That's crazy.
But the trade made sense on both sides. We always said just fit wise personality.
Yeah, I think Trey fit Atlanta more because for one, he speaks English better. He does like being out there more since he been here. He did the AEBL over the summer. He hangs with Quavo or whatever. He's connected to the city, right. And I think Dallas fits Luka because Dallas already had Dirk. So they know about they're comfortable with the international stars. They fit each other well. So I think it makes sense.
Right.
And I think Mark Cuban, I think he was done well with Trey also, but I think he likes having an international star on his team. So
for sure,
Dirk to Luka was the perfect transition, and Trey TL works. Yeah, I like Trey in Atlanta.
For sure.
We just need John Collins to play, and I just hope when John Collins come back, that doesn't take away from what Jabari is doing because they're basically the same player.
Well, then you can bring Jabari off the bench so they won't be in each other's way.
Yeah, they won't be in each other's way.
And then you can still play them together, right. And there's still space because Jabari can shoot. Right. John Collins can shoot a tad bit, and you can flip flop him on the post and on the weak side.
I'm not gonna lie, I would experiment playing them together. I would just have to do it because Trey plays really well with Jabari. I would.
It give him two options.
I put John Collins at the. I wouldn't start it.
No,
but I would put John Collins at the center.
You start developing that lineup because maybe you do keep Jabari long.
I'm keeping Jabari unless he getting 25 plus a year.
Nah, I don't think
he got a 20 year last year. So I think this year he's under.
Keep Jabari.
I think he's about 10.
You develop that. That 3-man punch, and Kevin Huerter should be the third player. Then DeAndre Hunter. And Cam Reddish, that's the thought of that. Even if it's not Jabari, but a team a 5-man lineup similar to that, where you got 5 shooters, 5 playmakers.
I'm keeping Jabari for sure, though. I think Atlanta, just like I think Portland need to already be thinking about bringing back Melo. I'm keeping Jabari.
I feel you on that.
Jabari fits well with the team. He fit with Trey, and Jabari, he a piece you need. So yeah, definitely keep Jabari in Atlanta. But Trey, it's not your fault. You obviously you gonna continue to get better. But trust me, 27 and 8 don't happen in your second year.
It does.
27 and 8, 27.7 and 8.6. That's for the numbers people that like to round them up. That's 28 and 9. Really, I'm giving him 28 and 9. He averaging 28 points.
Give some numbers.
He averaging 28 points per game.
Gave him Larry Jones numbers straight up.
Assists per game in his second year in the NBA. Trey the best Atlanta Hawks player of all time.
Whoa. Hot take.
That's a hot take. Joe Johnson, Dominique, Dikembe Mutombo, Bob Pettit,
Pistol Pete,
Trae Young. He in there. Second year in the league.
I mean, who else is
Second year in the league. Who else? Josh Smith, Marvin Williams, Mike Bibby, Glenn Robinson.
Right.
I know the Hawks. I know Jason Terry. I know these guys now.
Right.
Mookie Blaylock, Sharif. Shout out to Sharif.
Shout out Sharif.
I'm putting Sharif with the first crowd. I like Sharif. He in the first.
Smith.
He in the first group. Steve Smith, Smitty. He in the first group.
Kevin Willis. Nah, I feel you. Now you weak second
group. Shout out to
Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford, second group.
Al Horford.
He's in the mix of the first group, but he's better than Jamal Crawford.
I feel you. Nah, I get what you mean, because there's been a few.
And then when I add to that, Trae is a bona fide all-star.
Yeah,
the only bona fide like Hawks players that are all-stars: Pistol Pete, Dominique, Joe Johnson, Trae Young. Everybody else, Bob Pettit. Yeah, no disrespect, Bob Pettit. Everybody else, they had to work for their love. Jamal Crawford didn't make the All-Star team. Sharif got overlooked when he was here, and they were solid when he was here. No, Sharif was on bad teams. Yes. My bad. Yeah, they weren't good when Sharif was here. I just like Sharif.
No, yeah, for sure.
Sharif, he was balling. Original one and done. Look him up, young niggas. Sharif Abdul-Rahim. Trae Young, 27-8 in his rookie year. Show me the Hawks player that did that. Second year, and Joe wasn't drafted here, right. So that I was taking that in effect when I said Trae. Joe averaged 25, not 27 and 8. So shout out to Joe, Big 3 MVP. He should be in the NBA right now too. Pistons, y'all don't look so good right now. Y'all cut Joe to start Bobby Brown, and who was the other guy started? I don't even know.
Christian
Woods, like what? Let's go sign Joe Johnson.
Before we get out of here. A lot of people had this team as a title contender. Not us.
Utah Jazz?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I already knew you was going with this.
What is Utah's problem?
I want to like Donovan Mitchell so much.
I like Spider. I don't like Clint Snyder.
I gotta say it.
Mike Conley sucks.
Oh yeah, I ain't surprised about that.
Rudy Gobert isn't going anywhere, so I don't need to throw that out there.
I already knew that too. Donovan Mitchell is really good, but he ain't good enough.
Ooh,
it hurts to say it because I like Spider.
Love Spider.
I don't think he can be your best player and win the championship.
You know what my thing was with Spider? He has nights where he's fully aware.
He like Dwayne Wade in 05, 07.
He's fully aware of what's going on. He understands like when to shoot, when not to shoot, when to do this, when to do that. And then he has some nights where he just looked like 25 shots for 24 points. Like, what happens, Spider?
He looked like 25 shots for 24 points.
Like,
I don't think, especially
he does that sometimes, and it's so weird.
Especially on this team, when people said that they were a championship contender team, the first thing I said was they don't even have an all-star. And for one, you got to be an all-star, and for two, I think if you're not gonna have an all-star, Donovan Mitchell, everybody else is solid. That if Donovan Mitchell was so good, like if he was 28 points per game, they go to the championship. He'd be all-star then. If he was 28, if he was averaging 28, Trae averaging 27, Luka averaging 30. I mean, I ain't saying you got to do what they doing, but you year 3, they year 2.
Right. No,
and you got better supporting cast than both of them.
No, for sure.
But with that said, Mike Conley has not been good.
Yeah.
He's really not been good.
I just want to.
I think he missed Memphis. Is he homesick? Because he really hasn't been good.
I think.
And Utah, they in 6th place. About where I said they would be.
I think he's one of those players. You had those players. You always had those few players every generation where it's like, man, if you get him out of that situation that you see is falling, and you put him in a situation where his team is already set, he's a veteran. They're ready-made. No, it's not over for him. Like, they're a ready-made playoff team. So he's finna come in. He gonna hit the ground running. He gonna be an all-star. His numbers gonna jump up. Mike Conley is not that guy.
Yeah.
And you always have those players.
Been an all-star.
Then you have those players. Not to say that Mike Conley isn't good, but I remember at the 2015 Warriors playoff run, people say that Golden State only beat them because Mike Conley was hurt, like Steph was the MVP that game.
Right. Mike Conley was right.
Like, he's a good player, but
Donovan Mitchell's averaging 25 this year, but Mike Conley's averaging 13 and 4. That's not so good.
Yeah. And he started off the season.
Remember Mike Conley was the richest player in NBA history?
Yeah, of course. He's shooting 36% from the field.
He getting paid $30 million a year. 36% for $30 million.
Like, this isn't the worst roster. This is actually a pretty decent roster.
They're solid. The difference is Rudy Gobert isn't really an all-star. He not international Rudy. This ain't the FIBA World Championships.
Right.
Mike Conley has not been good. And
Bogey's been good for them, though.
20 points per game. And Donovan Mitchell, although he's been good, 25 a game, 44% for the field. I like those numbers. He's just not. He hasn't been good enough.
Right.
I think he could be better. Spider.
Mike Conley can definitely be better.
Mike Conley, yeah. I don't know what you want to say about him. But Bogey has been really good for them, 20 points per game. I always liked him for a pickup for them.
For sure, yeah.
Even though I knew that was going to take away from my boy Beer Bong Joe.
Yeah. But, yep, on that note, I'm Jon W.
Fresh Six.
We are the Hoopers.
All right, ballers.